Mr. Feenstra.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Ranking Member Lucas. Before I start, I just want to thank each of the witnesses for their testimony and sharing their extensive research and opinions with us. Dr. Housefather, in my district, Summit Carbon Solutions and Little Sioux Corn Processors are teaming up for a carbon dioxide capture and storage project. The partnership aims to capture 444,000 tons of carbon annually, which will lower the refinery's footprint. It will also be part of an infrastructure network with other biorefineries that will have the capability of capturing 10 million tons of carbon annually. Will large-scale partnerships like this be crucial to achieving significant lower carbon emissions? And then number two, they cited 45Q tax credits as being crucial in allowing their companies to invest in these technologies. Could you comment on what types of current or new incentives would help encourage this type of carbon reduction and capture?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So carbon dioxide removal is a critical technology to meet the climate goals we have today. Both because there are some hard to decarbonize parts of the economy where it simply is going to be the most cost-effective solution to capture the carbon from fossil fuels rather than replace them with something else. And because, as the other witnesses have discussed, we may want to reduce our global emissions below zero in the future, and we need these sort of carbon capture technologies to be able to do that. And so I think we definitely need to be investing more in these than we are today. In terms of the types of things that can help, one big one is just long-term certainty, and 45Q goes a long way to doing that, to make sure that these companies know there will be a market for the carbon that they are capturing, so to speak, a price that's being paid to them. The second is more of an investment in the supporting infrastructure around carbon capture. Capturing the carbon itself is in some ways one of the easiest steps. Then you have to actually have pipelines associated with that. You have to have long-term geological storage that's proximate. And so making sure that we invest in those infrastructure as well can really enable carbon capture to scale. Now, carbon capture is not going to be the solution. Obviously, a lot of sectors, it's going to be easier to replace fossil fuels with clean energy sources. But certainly for some sectors, it will be a big part of the solution.
Oh, okay, so let me just expand on that a little bit. So carbon capture, especially with biorefineries, we can get down to a net negative. With biofuels, this seems like the greenest form of energy, and yet there's this agenda of pushing electric vehicles, which in itself has a lot of problems with, creating batteries and all this other stuff. How do you see biofuels then playing out in this greater plan of reducing carbons?
So today, the dramatic cost declines we've seen in batteries have really unlocked a powerful electric vehicle market for light vehicles. But I think there is, an important role for biofuels, both for some light vehicles, and we'll see how those end up playing out in the market. It depends a lot on what happens with these technology costs going forward. But also for things like heavy-duty transport over long distances, where limitations of batteries make that a bit more costly and more challenging, and especially for things like long-distance shipping and aviation, where using electricity for those transportation purposes are possible, but very, very difficult. And so, biofuels are an important part of the solution as well. We do need to be cognizant of the impacts of growing biofuels if they're offsetting other activities. If you're pushing, say, more deforestation in Brazil by reducing agricultural output in the US by devoting a lot of land to biofuels. We're not really there today, but those secondary effects do need to be considered when looking at impacts of biofuels. But I agree that carbon negative biofuels through carbon capture and storage is a really exciting technology. And it's one that is used at an extremely large scale in a lot of the energy system models that are used by the IPCC to model some of these emission pathways.
Thank you, Dr. Housefather. I look at it this way. I am in the Midwest in Iowa, and we have this corn kernel, or we have this soybean that holds energy, literally holds energy, and we squeeze it and we get the energy out. So to me, it's one of the greatest forms of energy, clean energy that we can use. So with that, I just want to yield back. Thank you.